Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Jenny. I'm from JennyCardDesigns. My YouTube channel contains content that is intended to share paper crafting tutorials and inspiration with all of you. I hope that you enjoy. Okay, so we're going to create a box card. If you stay tuned to the end of this video, you'll find links to template tutorial videos that show you how to create this box card along with its coordinating envelope. So this video will just be purely inspiration. Any measurements you'll need, I'll leave in the description down below and link to the videos like I said. So starting with two stamp sets, we've got the Gina layered daisies and the Gina tropical blooms. And I've got some cardstock, acrylic block, and some JennyCardDesigns inks. So I'm going to ink up my first stamp. And I'm using Gina Sea Glass ink. And I'm going to stamp a bunch of the flowers from the tropical bloom set. I'll stamp some big ones and some little ones. I think I do 6 of these. And then I'm going to go take this second layer. This is a 2-step stamp. And I just lay the stamp over top of the image just to see where it lines up. And then load it up onto my acrylic block and stamp with the Gina Turquoise Sea ink. And then I'm going to do the same thing for the smaller flower with the same color ink. And just stamping those until they're complete. And then this has a little center and I'm going to use the Gina Obsidian amalgam ink for that. And I'm just going to kind of twist and turn and stamp those in different directions to make them look like different flowers. Okay, so those are all done. We'll set those aside and we're going to stamp the leaves from this set. And I'm going to stamp with JennyCardDesigns Jelly Bean Green ink. And I'll stamp a bunch of big leaves and then I'll go get the small leaf and stamp a bunch of the small leaves. And then this also has a few steps to it. I take the second layer to this leaf and I use the fresh asparagus ink and I just ink up all of my leaves. And these don't have to be perfect. This stamp is very forgiving. If you don't get exact right on, it still looks great. So I grabbed the secondary image for the little leaf. And then I thought I was going to try to stamp the third layer. This leaf has 3 layers and I tried to stamp it with some black ink, but I didn't really like the look. So I'm just going to stay with the 2 layers for this. And I'm going to grab the coordinating dies and get those cut out. And I'll set that aside for now. And then we'll go to the layered daisy set. And I'll take the first stamp for the large daisy and I'm going to stamp that with Gina Blue Lagoon ink. This is a really pretty color. And then I'm going to take the smaller daisy and I'm going to stamp that with the Turquoise Sea ink. And then we'll go take the second layer for the daisy and I'll just sort of line it up over top of the daisy, making sure I've got it nice and straight. Pick it up with my block and then ink and stamp with Tranquil Teal ink. So we get some really dark depth in that flower. It's really pretty. And then for the small daisy, I'm going to ink with Blue Lagoon. Okay, then I'm going to add the little centers to this using the same Obsidian amalgam ink. And then I'll go to the leaves for this stamp set. And this is just a 1-layer leaf, so I just stamp a bunch of them, some in fresh asparagus and some in jelly bean green. And then grab the coordinating dies for these. And then I'm going to take all of these flowers over to my die cutting machine and spend about 10 hours and cut out all of these flowers. And once they're all cut out, I'm going to go work on my box. Now I've got all of these pattern papers all cut up to cover my box with, and I'll link in the description down below the sizes of each panel that you'll need to decorate the box. This pattern paper comes from the JennyCardDesigns Sending Love pattern paper pack. It's a really pretty paper combination, and you can mix and match the papers inside of that to get some really nice looks. I've also got some scraps of jelly bean green cardstock, and I'm going to use all of these to decorate my box. So starting with the flaps, this part of the flap you can write your message in, and when you pull it down it will be hidden and everything that you've got covered will be displayed. So we're not going to cover that part. So we're going to cover the front And I've got double-sided tape on this pattern paper already. Remove the adhesive off of those strips and just kind of adhere them in the center. I've got a 1/8 of an inch border all the way around on each side of the box just to give it a nice, interesting look. Okay, so now we're going to go to the back. On the back, we're going to need a larger piece of cardstock here, and I just have the two patterns taped together to create some interest. And I'll use my bone folder to press everything down, and that's it for the outside of the box. We're not going to decorate these flaps because when it's opened, you're not going to see them. Okay, now we'll take the other pieces of pattern paper and adhere those to the box. I had 2 scraps of the pattern paper that I adhered together, and I'll put that in the back part of my box. And for the inside of the box, there are 2 little bridges, and we'll use the same pattern papers to cover up those bridges to give a nice grounding layer for the flowers. This is where you're going to add your elements to decorate on. So I just use the same coordinating pattern paper to cover it up so that it coordinates, and we've kind of got a nice little spot to glue our flowers to. Okay, now we're going to adhere some pattern paper to the front of the box and then to the little side flaps, making sure that everything's got good contact and adhered together nicely. And so far this box is coming along beautifully. All that's left is to decorate it and add a sentiment. So now I'll just check, make sure it closes up and works the way it's supposed to. Okay, so now I'm just going to take my flowers and I'm just going to arrange them, gluing them wherever I think it looks nice. Now I tried to create sort of a grouping of flowers in sort of a triangular pattern. It's just more pleasing to the eye graphically. So I've got a grouping in the top left, a grouping in the right, and then a grouping on the bottom left. And then I just fill in small elements here and there as we go along. I've got all these daisies and flowers, and I just mix them all up, spreading the colors around, and I'm not putting 2 of the same thing side by side. So I'm trying to create, you know, more of a spread out design and spreading the colors out and really filling in that box to make it look like a box full of flowers. Okay, so I'm happy with the way this is looking so far. This is gorgeous, and we can still close the box. Everything looks good. And then when you open it up, you've got this layered 3D effect of flowers. And I'm going to take that jelly bean green cardstock, and I'm just going to create a little bit of interest, adhering some strips across the front of the box. So I'll just glue that down, and then I'll cut off the excess, and then I'll close the box and line the 2 flaps up together to see where that strip lands and glue it right beside it. So we don't have to measure or anything. It's just so that the eye can see that they're in the same place. And that's perfect. And then I'm going to do the same thing to the other side. I'll close that box and line up a piece of cardstock beside it, making sure that everything looks symmetrical and where it's supposed to be. So I'll add a little bit of liquid adhesive, adhere that down, cut off the excess. And I think that really is pleasing to the eye, just that little sort of green pop of color. It gives a little bit of break to those blues and teals. And there's a little bit of green in the pattern paper, so I think it complements each other. So I decided to take that little leftover strip and just cut it in half and then adhere it to my box to create a little bit of interest in the transitions between the 2 pattern papers that are glued to the back. Okay, so that's it for there. I'm happy with the way that looks. So now we're going to stamp the sentiment. So I've got a few sentiments. I have the word happy from the Tropical Bloom stamp and die set. We're just going to use that little simple font that says happy. And then I've got another stamp set here from JennyCardDesigns called A Beautiful Life. And it has a sentiment on it that says Mother's Day. So I paired it with that happy from the other stamp set. And I also wanted that little butterfly as well. So I just line up the stamps the way I want them to be laid out on that. I have a little rectangle die cut with stitching on it. So I lay the stamps down and then I pick it up with my acrylic block and pull off that little butterfly. And I'll set the butterfly aside, but I just wanted to make sure that I'm going to have room for everything. So that's why I picked them all up together. I'm going to ink it up with that JennyCardDesigns turquoise sea ink. And then I'll ink the butterfly up with the Tranquil Teal ink. And then I'll take my liquid glue and adhere that right to the front of the box, right across that green strip. So it kind of gives a little place for that sentiment to live on top of. So it looks like it's supposed to be there. And then I've got a Spectrum Noir sparkle pen, and this is a blue sparkle pen. So I just colored that butterfly in, and I think that color really matches everything. I got a bunch of leftover die cuts, and I'm going to glue those to the front of my envelope, just so that everything ties together nicely and it gives it a really pretty effect, especially with all that white. That turquoise and blue really pop off of there. I've got one little flower left, and I'll adhere that to the closing flap of my envelope, and that is going to be it for this project. This box card fits perfectly inside of this gorgeous envelope, and you have the most stunning Mother's Day card that your mother will have ever received. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to spend it here with me. Check out the videos on screen here. I've got one video here on the left that is the box card template tutorial, and then the video on the right is the envelope tutorial for the box card. So if you want to know how to make these, you'll find everything you need in those videos. And you'll also find links to download the templates where you can put those templates in your reference binder along with the other templates that I've designed for you. So thank you so much. Have a lovely day, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye!